and welcome back to the Loopy Homestead. I thought we'd take a departure this week from a lot of our animal stuff or outside stuff that we've been doing and talk about a subject that I have been asked about several times recently, and that is how we keep everything here straight. Especially right now with the build projects going on and 10 of us kind of occupying the same space. Just how we go about making sure that things get done when they need to get done. And so I thought I'd introduce you to our homestead board. So this is where everything gets going. It's a board I made, routed out, stained. I've made one for my sister too. Added clips to hold our papers. We have over here actually this is by command. It's meant to hold your toothbrushes, but it is a perfect pen keeper for next to the board. Helps make sure that we can mark things down and there's always a pen when we need it. We don't have to hunt for one. Sometimes it's just that sort of thing that helps keep you organized. If you have to walk away from it, chances are you're not going to come back. You're going to get busy, something's going to interrupt you, and you will forget that this thing even exists. So I have 6 places on here, and yes, we use all of them. And as we go through this, I'll show you what each of our calendars or other papers have on them. First up, it's our monthly calendar. I do these at the start of the year for all 12 months. I mark down important dates during the year, like Easter is already on here, and I make sure all my dates are set. That way, this can go up on the board, and at the start of every month, my first task is to make sure everything our family is doing gets on this calendar. The reason that's important, it affects one of our other calendars. Helps me know when things are coming, if we're gonna be gone, if there's an event one night that maybe I wanna do a crock pot meal for, or even because we're part of a blended family, it means that sometimes I need to know when I'm driving in and out of town to get my son to his mom. So it allows me for that. I put notes here, so if I have anything specific I need to remember, this is where it'll go. Generally at the end of our monthly shops, and yes, we do monthly shops, I'll talk about that in a minute, I will sometimes write my total here just to get a good estimate of what we're budgeting for groceries every month. Next up, dinner calendar. So I know I've talked to a lot of people, and they say their hardest thing is that they are mood eaters. They decide what they want for dinner that night based on what it is they want to eat. So the idea of having a full month planned out is kind of a hard concept for them. But really, it's not as complicated as it seems. So this calendar is basically the same as this calendar. It just doesn't have all the notes. It still has all the same dates, but I have a little bit more space for planning some things out. So really, what I'll do in March, if we didn't happen to use a dinner idea, I've got a couple here, I will actually throw them back onto this calendar somewhere. So that'll eat up a couple of my days. Then I'll look at our monthly calendar here, and if I see that, like, for instance, on Thursdays, we frequently have at our church Father and Son and Daughters of the King, maybe that night I don't have time to actually make a dinner. So it'd be easier if I do a crock pot meal in the morning, or I choose something that'll be really quick to put together before we leave or after we come back. In which case, I can set that dinner up right here. The benefit of doing that, it means I don't generally go, oh my gosh, I don't have time to make that. I've already kind of got my schedule integrated into my dinner menu. Then I might go to people in the family and request a dinner for that month. Sometimes we will get tacos, which generally end up here anyway, or somebody might want spaghetti. Rowan typically asks for mac and cheese. But it means I can scatter those throughout the month. Everybody gets to pick something that they would like to eat. The other thing, I don't like eating the same meals all the time. I really like to have sort of a variety, so it means that I can kind of go, no, we had that last month, pick something else. In addition to this, I actually have a whole list of different dinners I'm willing to make. So someone might have forgotten that, oh yeah, we haven't had BLTs in a long time, but they see it on the list, and suddenly we're having BLTs. Other than that, that leaves just a handful of other days that I need to pick things for, and I can just fill them in with something that I think would be good to have that we haven't had in a while, or maybe it's a favorite dish. The reality is, I don't always stick exactly to these days. I may have something planned on the 14th that we end up having on the 9th because something changed, or I didn't have a certain ingredient that I thought I had, or maybe I have it and I forgot that I need to use it up faster than I thought I did. So I do scramble these occasionally, but at least I know that I've got a dinner planned for every day. It's also really beneficial because it means in the morning, if we're having hamburgers or something made with hamburger, I can go out first thing that morning, grab the hamburger out, and everything that I need for dinner that night is totally thawed, ready to go, makes my life faster. I don't have to try to scramble to make sure I had what I needed. Also, we try really hard to get away from the processed foods that we ate a lot when I was growing up. So when you get away from that, you don't have hamburger helper just hanging out in the storeroom for you to go grab, or in the pantry. You've got to make it. So you got to get all the ingredients together. It really helps when you have a game plan so that you're not having to try to figure that out at the very last minute. Also, as far as it goes for our monthly shops, we do only buy the things that we can either freeze, dry store, or use quickly. So doing a month shop does not mean I don't go to the grocery store any other time this month. It just means that I'm not buying perishables after maybe the 9th. And then we'll go stop in a couple places if we need salad, if we need fresh veg. A lot of times I'll use frozen veg for stuff. It's just more convenient for us. But it doesn't mean I never go to the grocery store. It also means that as I'm shopping here, I can maybe watch for deals for a meal that I'm having later that month. If something's on sale, I don't miss out on that just because I didn't get it for the 26th or something. So it's really helpful that way. Another thing that I've been doing, it's a book I recommend, it's a book I've been reading called A Year Without a Grocery Store. So this has to do with making sure that you have food on hand that you can use in case you can't go to the grocery store. In the case of the author's point of view, they didn't have income for a while and they had to subsist on whatever they had stored. Thankfully, that is not our position as of current, but I would like to know that if we find ourselves short on money in a month, I've got stuff prepared for that. I'm not going, okay, I guess we eat top ramen for 4 days because it's all we can afford. And we have been in that position before, so it is something I'm conscious of. So these two calendars, they work in tandem a lot. I do look at our monthly calendar to plan our dinner calendar, and sometimes I might even look at our dinner calendar to see what we've got going on if something else comes up. Do I have a meal that works for that night? Do I need to change things around? So I'm rarely surprised by dinner. Occasionally we have nights where I call them make it work nights. Those are if I'm tired or something unexpected came up that day and I've just got to throw something together, but usually that stuff I have on hand. Our next real calendar is our chicken calendar. We keep count of our eggs. We probably know about how many we get during the day, each day, but this actually helps us keep a really good idea of what we're actually getting. As chickens age, they don't lay as frequently, so we want to make sure that we are producing enough eggs for our house, and that means knowing what we have, not guesstimating it. It helped us know this winter when our chickens stopped laying as much that we were in a time of less eggs. We were able to watch that as a trend, basically. So it's not a crucial item to our house, but it is very helpful in the sense that we are able to see how our animal management is going. We can keep track of how many bags of feed we're going through. If we sell eggs, how much are we making off those eggs? And then I actually calculate every month the cost of the feed minus what we made back in profit to see exactly how much our eggs are costing us. And more than not, we are paying less than $1 a dozen for our eggs just because of how many we get and how our profit versus feed works out. This also helps us make sure that we are not wasting a lot of feed. Sometimes chickens like to just pull them out of the feeders and spread it all over the ground and then not eat it. If that's the case, we need to look at our feeding situation and make sure that a change doesn't need to be made, or see if there's something different. Is there something wrong with the feed? Is there something wrong with the chickens? It's just another way of paying attention to our animals as a whole. With this too, we also leg band our older chickens. So I know exactly what our first generation chickens are from our second and or eventually third with our new American breast chickens. Because eventually as chickens age, they just don't lay as well. And it's pretty likely that they're gonna be the next ones out the door in some way or another, and I want to make sure I'm keeping my good egg layers versus my older egg layers. And you know, unfortunately, that's just a matter of life when you are raising animals for some kind of food. They generally need to serve a purpose, and so they're either egg laying or they're ending up in our freezer. That's just life. So this is how we keep track of that. We keep a daily total and then we total it up at the end, and then I do fun math at the end of the month to find out where we stood financially. I also want to make sure that we aren't paying more for our eggs than we would be in the store. Now with the prices in the store, we're a long ways from that, but I also don't want to be spending 3 times as much to have eggs at home here if it costs me a ton less at the store. So that's just something I want to, be mentally aware of. Okay, so the next set of sheets I'd like to talk about our Homestead board here, is really kind of just another bunch of math sheets. I keep track, and I like to keep them here since they're with everything else. I keep track over the year of what our overall costs look like. In this case, it was our 2022 year for our eggs. Over the course of the entire year, what did we pay? What did we get in terms of sold? And then comparative to what we might have paid in the store. So I really do have a year idea of what our chickens cost us or saved us. In a previous year, I should say last year, this was our math for our meat birds. How much did we pay for the meat birds? How many meat birds do we have? How many bags of feed did we have? And then, how much our meat was per pound, that kind of thing. It gives me another idea, just like with our eggs. Am I paying market value for my chickens? Am I making more basically than what market value was? Or did I accidentally spend more? And we really want to stay away from the accidentally spending more side of things. That's partly too why we started investing in the American breasts, because we want to propagate our own chickens. Anytime we have chickens die and need to buy new chicks, that's money out of our pockets. Anytime we need to go buy new meat birds as opposed to be raising our own, that's more money out of our pockets. So that was the reason we thought about the American breasts. We know that they are a really good dual purpose chicken, and so we are able to save some of those initial costs just over the year with things like that. I've even gone so far back as doing this the last time we raised pigs. I knew how much it cost us for our pigs. I knew how much we spent in feed, how much our butcher cost was, how much our farm kill was. All of that to get a good idea of what our pork per pound cost us. And because we sold some of the pork that we raised, we made some of that money back, offset our cost, and therefore I know we paid less than market value for our pork, technically. We didn't really pay that money like we would go to the store, but our pork per pound cost us less to raise than if we had gone to purchase it. So that's just another set of things I take a look at yearly. Because again, I want to make sure that if we are self-sustaining, it's not just self-sustaining in terms of we're raising our own meat, we know what goes into it, which are huge aspects of that. I know that my pigs are not being fed something weird. But more than that, it's got to be financially self-sustaining. It doesn't make any sense for me to spend $300 more raising a pig than it might cost me to just go buy it in the store. Unless, for instance, that cost is a result of like, you know, maybe it's scarcer in the stores or something, but generally the more scarce the meat, the higher the price is going to go. So our next set of pages, these guys right here. This is our list of homestead projects. Now the first page here is stuff we need to kind of imminently work on. They have a need that needs to be filled before we can go on to a next step. So for one instance, the pig fence. We have the inside of the pig stall done, but we still don't have an outer fence to contain them. So before we can get pigs, pig fence has to be finished. Another one that we want to take care of is power to our chicken coop. Right now, to run those heat lamps, we have an extension cord that runs from the house all the way out to the coop. So it's just a matter of going, how do we make sure that we have constant access, but not having to have things running all over the place, haphazardly. Building more planter boxes is a thing, because that way, when we need them, they're there. I don't want to have to build them the week of planting. I'd rather just know that they're available for me and be able to use them. However, behind this is a second page. It is our 2-year plan. And I know that kind of sounds sort of businessy and corporate. Not a lot of people are doing 2- and 5-year plans out there. But at the same time, we want to know where we're headed. We want to know what our goals are so that we can work towards those. For instance, dual purpose chickens was something that we talked about last year that we wanted to do for sustainability. So we worked towards researching the right dual purpose chicken. We decided on the American breasts, and here we are. Another thing on here, a variety of fruit trees. I know that if we bought bare root trees, which we did, it would take a few years before those could be cultivated. So you gotta start further back. And the more you wait, the longer you will have to wait till you have those end results. And so now we have some very young apple trees. They're actually apple trees that have had several different kinds of apples grafted onto them, so they should self-pollinate. We should get some different kinds. We have gotten a pear tree, which is of the same nature, a cherry tree now, and I think possibly a peach tree or something to that effect. So a variety of things, and we have made sure too that in the varieties that we've chosen, they should be able to cross or self-pollinate. So that we don't have to have 6 trees of the same kind to get fruit. This one tree should be able to do it on its own. We have other goals on here. I'm team cow. Got a couple team cows on here, a couple of team not cows. But I want to try it at least once. I'd like to try raising our own turkey at least once. We've had one farm-raised turkey which was not filled with tryptophan, and it was amazing. I would love to do that again, and considering we already do chickens, it's not that big of a stretch. So this just gives us something to look forward to, something to plan towards, something that when we're doing an installation of something right now, we don't take up space that we might prefer for something else later. We always have a future in mind and what things should inevitably look like. Right now, I'm also keeping construction notes, just so when we need to remember what we told our contractors about doors or paint colors, it's easier for me to just run back and look to that. So it's kind of everything hidden behind these couple of stuff right here. And finally, as far as it goes for our homestead board here, we've got our monthly calendar. I know what things are going on each month during the year. We have our project calendar, so that way I know what things we need to tackle. So we have to decide what time in the year to tackle these items. And that brings us up to this final set of pages. I take a look at things like, when is winter about over? When is a good time to do a final clean on our pellet stove for the year so that it's ready for next winter? We can just fire it up, come November or so, and it's ready to use. We don't have to do any pre-prep. I wanted to make sure that we order our American breast chickens early enough that the hatchery we hope to get them from wasn't already inundated with orders, that we weren't going to have to wait yet another year to get our chicks. I want to fix the watering system I installed in the greenhouse last year. I think it needs some tweaking after a year of using it. I want to make sure I get that done. but it's most helpful planning financially to know when I want to do these things during the year, so that I can make sure, like when we wanted to do the pig stall, that we didn't have another project that needed the funds for that. We were able to go buy the lumber and not go, oh no, we have another project that needs lumber. Now we're going to spend twice as much this year. I actually heard a gal recently refer to the projects on their, I don't know if she refers to it as a homestead or a farm or whatever, but she said something to the effect about how costs go way down in the wintertime and then suddenly boom in the summertime. And I don't think it has to be that way. I think if you plan your projects, you can plan financially for that. Whether it's to set money aside in the wintertime so that you can go buy that, or maybe you go buy certain supplies in the wintertime when everybody's not trying to get them. I mean, think about summertime with air conditioners. Somewhere's got air conditioners, maybe in the wintertime. You can order them off Amazon, or you can order one into the store, something to that effect. But the minute it gets to like 80 degrees outside, everyone is rushing to the hardware store because now they suddenly need one. If you plan ahead for those things, that's not you anymore. So I didn't want that to be us anymore. I don't want to have to make a last minute run to the store because, oh no, we didn't plan for this thing and now this is happening. You saw this actually happen with our American breast chickens. We knew when they should be coming in. We thought we had another week to get things, and suddenly they showed up, which is not uncommon for chickens. That's why I wanted our pig stall ready, because if we get a call from a registered IPP breeder that their pigs came a week early and we either buy one now or we miss out, I don't want to go, well, I guess we miss out this year because we weren't prepared. I want to be prepared. I want to spread costs out in a way that's effective. We also, spent some money a year or so ago for the summer ahead of time and bought a nice big pool that the family can enjoy. It's above ground. But if I don't decide when I want to put that up, well, maybe I've gotten busy and now I don't get to put it up till halfway through the summer. And we've blown a portion of our summer to enjoy it. So if I know about when I think I want to put that pool up, it's on my plan. I can deal with it. I can deal with when I think I need to do the greenhouse water system or when I think those planter boxes for our garden should be built. This just helps me keep track of it because legitimately, I'm a mom, I'm busy. I already said that sometimes I have to go in and out of state to travel my kid places. So I don't want life to get so busy that I don't get things done. Similarly, I don't want to be so inundated with projects that I don't get to enjoy my life either. So sometimes while this board seems a little crazy, it seems like a lot of planning, it seems like so much to take care of. First of the month, which we're basically at right now, takes me, I don't know, half hour maybe to fill out my calendars, get things planned. Some of this takes me once or twice throughout the year to actually calculate and do out, but it doesn't take me that long. It manages my life so much better. Fewer things are just suddenly popping up for me to take care of. I generally know what's going on, what to expect, and my life, though super organized, is far more relaxed, knowing what's coming, knowing what I need to plan for. So next, I'm actually going to take you through how I do our chicken math for last month. I'm going to take you through our April food planning, and I'll even take you through our monthly scheduling so that you can kind of see what it is I do for all of this.
But unfortunately, Looplings, you'll have to wait for next week for that. Thanks for joining us back on the Loopy Homestead. If you'd like to stay in the loop, please subscribe to our videos. And if you'd like to help us find more Looplings like you, please like and share them. We'll see you next time. Bye.
So that's been something else we've been working towards. Just gives us an idea of goals. It means that as a family we can... My sister's being funny behind me.